We're staged for another run of nitro-fueled NHRA talk. It's The Straight Line, presented by O'Reilly Auto Parts, with Marty Hough and 10-time NHRA winner Doug Herbert. Brought to you by Hercules Tires. Now, here are your hosts, Doug and Marty.
This is The Straight Line on Drag Racing. Thanks for stopping by our half hour of horsepower. Appreciate you being with us. This week, Pro Motorcycle begins their season at the Gator Nationals, and today we chat with the defending champion of the division, Jerry Savoie. We're in the beams and set to launch another edition of The Straight Line. Wherever you may be, coast to coast, around the world, this is The Straight Line on Drag Racing here on MRN.com. My name is Marty Hough here in the chilly North Carolina studios of the Motor Racing Network, and joining us on the telephone line right now is our 4-time IHRA Top Fuel champion and 10-time NHRA National Event winner, Doug Herbert, who is in a busy Las Vegas. There's been lots going on in Las Vegas. There's a NHRA event, a NASCAR event this past weekend, and Doug, you're there for a completely different reason.
Yeah, and I hate to tell you what the weather is here. It's about 85 degrees and beautiful. So,
hating you.
Unfortunately, I'm going to be coming back to Carolina here tomorrow. So, at any rate, it's great weather here and lots of racing here, obviously, in this racing town. But I'm here for the Kia. Kia Motors is obviously one of our major supporters of the Brakes charity, and their national dealer conference is today and tomorrow. So I'm over here taking care of that and telling all the Kia dealers about what we're doing with brakes and the education that we're giving people about their Kia brand cars. So that's what we're doing over here checking out the everybody in preparation for the Gator Nationals. It looks like a couple little shakeups.
Yeah, no question about that. And that was the big news coming out of last week, was John Force Racing announcing that their funny car teams, 2 of the 3 of them, were going to do a crew swap. And then from there, Jimmy Prock and his guys went from the John Force team over to the Robert Height team, and Mike Neff and his guys, along with Jason McCullough, went over to the John Force Racing side. This past weekend at Las Vegas Motor Speedway, Motorsports Monday's own co-host Woody Kane was there, caught up with Robert Height, and spent a couple minutes with him to talk about what happened and why those changes were made.
A little bit of a slow start for you guys, but you got to feel good about the way the team is performing overall in terms of that, meaning you're due to get back on track, right?
Yeah, exactly. When you have 2 teammates running well, and we try to work together as a team and share things, it does give you confidence. But we've changed things up going to Gainesville. So for the rest of the season, now I'm with Jimmy Prock and John is over with Mike Neff. So John and I swap teams. So looking forward to that, and most of my wins have come with Jimmy Prock.
So what led to that decision? Was it, oh yeah, well give me your guys. Oh yeah, well I'll take your guys. How'd that work out?
Well, it's just John Force. He's kind of the master at changing things up to try to get the chemistry and the mix of people right. We went to the shop back last week in Indianapolis, and he said he saw all the winner circle pictures with Jimmy and I, and winner circle pictures with him and Mike Neff and John Schaefer, his crew chief from last year, and he just thought, you know what, things aren't exactly the way they need to be right now. Let's mix it up and see if we can get some performance going.
It's funny what'll make people go, I wonder about this, but being the president, in addition to racing, how difficult is it to wear those 2 hats at the same time, especially when you got something like this going on?
It's definitely difficult. It's kind of a tough position to be in, actually, because I was fine with the team I had, and like you said, when you're kind of in charge of things, it looks like some of these were my ideas, but they weren't. It was all John. I didn't have a clue about this change. And all of a sudden, John just said, this is what we're doing, pulled everybody together, and everybody went to work and made it happen. So I'm excited about going over with Jimmy Prock, but a little sad to leave the team that I've been with for the last few years. So, but it's business. We've got to perform for the sponsor, and the Automobile Club of Southern California is the best sponsor we have at John Force Racing, and John thought this was the best move to satisfy the sponsor.
Tell me a little bit about Gainesville coming up, because in addition to the crew swap, that's going to be a big one for you guys.
It is. Gainesville's really a huge race. It's the East Coast kickoff, for NHRA. The first two races we've been on the West Coast. Now we're over on the East Coast, and it's also the International Drag Racing Hall of Fame induction, on Thursday night there. So all the who's who of drag racing will be there. The Snake, Mongoose, all the guys, that got the sport to where it's at today, they'll be there. It's just a big race, and I'm going in as the defending champ. So unfortunately, that was my last win. It's been a year, and that's the longest drought I've ever had in my career. So, I've won it with Jimmy Prock. I've won it last year with Mike Neff. So we've got to just go in there and do our job. Long-term forecast looks great. It's going to be great conditions. It's going to be cool, and you can see record runs. So I'm excited.
What better time to turn things around, right?
Exactly. Yeah, we love going, to Gainesville. That's a fun race, but yeah, definitely need to turn things around. Need to go some rounds and hopefully win a race. And boy, that just changes everything.
Thanks for your time and good luck this weekend.
Thank you.
Doug, you had the opportunity to listen to that audio. Your take on the crew swap at JFR?
Well, I think Mike Neff going back with John Force is a good idea. Neff is a driver. Neff was with Force when they won the championship. Jimmy Prock was with over there on
Robert Height, yeah,
on Robert's team when they won the championship. I think it makes sense, and I got a feeling that Force, Jimmy Prock is great, but he's not a driver, and I think having Mike Neff on Force's car where he is a driver, that gives a little bit of a communication advantage, I think, with Force and Neff. So I think that was probably a pretty good move. And I'm wondering why they ever got changed around in the first place to start with, really, to be honest with you. But I know going back to Gainesville is a tough thing for Team Force. They lost Eric Medlin at the Gainesville track on testing, down there the day after the race. So that, I know it's a tough situation for their whole bunch, but hopefully, if they can go down there and do something really well, I'm sure that'll ease that pain a little bit.
John Force is a master motivator. I mean, there's nobody that motivates himself more than John Force. I mean, obviously, the 16 titles and 18 as a team. But it was pretty important to him after the row that he and Don Schumacher had right out of the gate in Pomona, then to have Schumacher really kind of dominate the first two races of the season. I'm thinking that there's a little bit more to this than just, hey, we need to kind of shake things up. There are only two events into the season. That maybe that the Schumacher-Force rivalry right now, that's not so much of a rivalry because Don Schumacher's winning everything in sight, maybe had a little bit to do about this.
Well, I think so. I mean, Force got his tail between his legs because Schumacher's whipping him.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any mystery about that. So Force is trying to do whatever he can to get a little bit of an edge back, and I think that I don't know. I think that making that change that's a good move for him. It really is. At the same time, I don't think Schumacher's guys are going to slack off any. But you know what? I remember several years ago, I thought it was crazy. Kenny Bernstein went into Gainesville, got rid of his crew, brought in Tim and Kim Richards as why do you do a crew change after the first two or three races? He did it and then ended up winning the championship that year with Kim and Tim. So, it's not unprecedented, and it's probably not a bad idea. I really do think that the chemistry between the groups is going to be better. Robert with Jimmy Prock and John Force with Mike Neff. I think it's going to be a better chemistry. And you know what? Force is all about. That's what he does. I mean, Force, he's a wild and crazy guy. You have to understand him. And you have to, you've got to let him get in the car and drive the car. You're not going to tell John Force how to drive a funny car. And I think that would probably work better with Mike Neff. Mike, I think that's just a better combination.
And real quick, Gator Nationals coming up. You talked about Kenny Bernstein, the first to go 300 miles an hour there. And then there's some guy that I can't remember his name, but he was the first one to go 300 miles an hour in eliminations. It was Doug Herbert. A really good place to go really fast at Gainesville.
It is, yeah. Gainesville is a good place to go fast. It's always been a good place to go fast. They've got a lot of shutdown area there. And the fans at Gainesville are unbelievable. It's the first time the bikes come out for the year, the Pro Stock bikes. So I know the Dancing Hind guys. I was talking to Steve Johnson the other day, and he's excited. So everybody's excited about going down there. And, it's kind of – Gainesville is like is a little bit of a NASCAR race mentality. There's a lot of campers and a lot of people hanging out. They make a whole week of it. Going to the Gator Nationals is a big deal. So that's like Big Daddy said to us last week. That's the opening for the East Coast, and everybody on the East Coast is excited about going to Gainesville. And it's a big race. That's one of the big ones.
Yep, one of the majors for sure. Thanks for your time, my friend. I appreciate it, and we'll see you back here in the studios next week.
I will be looking forward to seeing you guys.
That's Doug
I'll bring
Herbert.
some warm weather back.
yeah, please do. We could use it. Doug Herbert joining us from Las Vegas. When we come back, we will talk to the defending champion of the Pro Bike Series and NHRA competition. Jerry Savoie joins us next.
The new NASCAR season and spring break are about to share one weekend at Phoenix Raceway. So what can you expect? Rowdy Bush, Kevin the Closer Harvick, Jimmy, I need a new nickname, Johnson, grills, games, body paint, trading paint, new foods, new friends, new stories you'll probably want to keep off Facebook, nail-biting, rule-breaking, trophy-winning, pins, needles, goosebumps, green flags, can't breathe, can't wait. Come on, race day! Whew. The Camping World 500, March 17th through the 19th. Visit PhoenixRaceway.com, get tickets from $25, win spring break.
O'Reilly. If you do-it-yourselfers are looking for the right tool for the job, stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts Power Torque Tools DIY Day Sale. You'll find a wide selection of Power Torque tools on sale now and guaranteed for life. Power Torque Tools DIY Day Sale going on now at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. Limit supply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Hi, everybody. This is Mike Bagley. Join me every Tuesday night for NASCAR Live. This one-hour interactive show takes you beyond the typical storylines in NASCAR with the stars of the sport.
The celebration's been fun. I mean, afterwards, I guess I didn't leave the track until my 1:30, so I caught it with my crew in South Beach.
NASCAR Live also gives you in-depth analysis with MRN's top personalities.
Because for me, the decisive moment of this championship was when...
Check it out, NASCAR Live, this Tuesday night at 7 Eastern on the Motor Racing Network.
Welcome back to The Straight Line, brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Here's more with Marty Hough.
Thanks for being with us on The Straight Line this afternoon. And joining us on the telephone line right now as we head into the Gator Nationals in Gainesville, Florida, is the 2016 Pro Motorcycle Champion, Jerry Savoie joins us. Jerry, thanks for your time. We really appreciate it.
No problem. I'm glad to help you guys out and get the fans pumped up and interested in doing what we do,
How's your off season been as the champion?
Well, it's been good. I like to hunt and fish, so for me it was a great winter, and got to spend time with the family for Christmas and Thanksgiving and New Year's, so it was good. Tim does all the work, so he's the one that keeps it together.
There at the end of the season, you announced that you were going to be adding to the team with the Tonglet family and Ellie Tonglet as the rider. Tell us about how that's been going and how you've been collaborating during the offseason.
Well, everybody knows I've known Gary for many, many years, probably 40 years. When I was a young man, I used to watch him race. So, I knew the family. I knew before the boys were born. So it's a pleasure and a privilege to have Nitrofish come aboard and help them boys ride my other bike. We built a brand new bike for Ellie, and it looks like it's going to be promising. They've tested 3 times. I've tested twice, and it looks good. We're in Bradenton right now testing. That's why we had lousy phone service. But, we're excited. Louisiana boys, Ellie's a great rider. And with Dancing Hines and Tim and the boys, Jeremy and Steve and whatnot, I think we're going to be good.
First champion since the Tonglet family to win on a Suzuki. How's Suzuki's reaction been to being a champion and now defending that here in 2017?
Well, haven't really heard much from them. Had an offer to bring the bike to a show at the end of the season last year, and we gave them a very, I'm talking about a very small fee for fuel and for a driver to stay there for 3 days, and they shot it down, man. And I'm telling you, when I say small, it was really small. So are they supporting us? No, they're not. I'm not going to paint it for you and make it all berries and roses.
Yeah.
But when you represent the brand and, you know, they call you to ask for help and turn around and turn you down when all you're doing is paying the expenses, that's pretty bad.
Any thoughts of maybe changing over? You're pretty deep into this program and how you've built it into a champion, but any thoughts of maybe going to a V-twin at some point?
No, well, here's the deal with me. I'm self-funded.
Sure.
I'm not out here because of a brand. I like the Suzuki, the Vampires, and the engines are proven, and they're reliable. I tried the Buick thing for a year, and for me it was a nightmare. So the inline four is my thing. It's always been a thing. I've never been a V-twin guy, even though I own 3 Harleys.
Right.
I'm not a Harley racer or a Buick racer, but you know, it's not a brand for me.
Yeah, I understand. Take me back to Pomona and all the pressure you were feeling going into that weekend, and then just a complete battle all the way through. Now, it's something that I didn't realize until I started doing a little bit of homework, is that you at no point during the season led the points until you clinched the championship. I mean, you talk about a walk-off home run, that's it. That's the definition of it.
Right. Well, we knew going into Dallas that we had a chance.
Yeah.
And we got to the finals in Dallas and actually had a circular break on the main shaft on the clutch. So when I let the clutch out of the bike, I had like a 120-something reaction time. We got beat. And I was beating myself up pretty bad because we didn't know what was happening. And when we got to Vegas, we pulled the clutch apart and we found the broken parts. But ran the table in Vegas, qualified in the last, I think it was the last 16 rounds of qualifying. We qualified number 1, 14 out of the 16. So when we left Vegas, I talked to Mr. Alan Reinhardt. He said, "You know what you're going to do, right?" I said, "No." He said, "You're going to go to Pomona. You're going to qualify number 1 every round and gather up all the little points. And at the end of the day, you're going to be the champ." I'm like, "If you say so, that's what we're going to do." But thanks to Angel beating Andrew and Matt put it on our Eddie, you know, and we beat Steve on a hole shot that round. So I guess we outlasted them is what you can say. But it doesn't happen very often. Those guys are great racers. They have a great, great program, the best program out here. And it was fun, you know. It's something I'll never forget, especially at 57 years old.
Yeah, no question about that. No, one of the high drama points of the 2016 season. Jerry, hang on with us. We're going to take a really quick break. We'll come back and we'll have more with Jerry Savoie after this on The Straight Line.
MRN's Throwback Thursday, the greatest races in NASCAR history.
Richard Petty comes to the outside of Benny Parsons, and ladies and gentlemen, it will be Richard Petty victorious in the STP Dodge.
Listen Thursdays at 1 p.m. Eastern on MRN.com or the MRN app.
And Dale Earnhardt has won the Daytona 500.
On demand in the MRN.com Media Center or on iTunes and Google Play.
Jeff Gordon wins the Southern 500 and the Winston Noble $5 million bonus.
Throwback Thursday on MRN.com.
O'Reilly. If your wiper blades are worn and streaking, stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts and save $8 instantly on a pair of Rain-X Latitude wiper blades. Improve visibility and save money with Rain-X Latitude wiper blades. Plus, take advantage of our free wiper blade installation. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. Limits apply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Citywide to countryside, whatever you drive, wherever you go. Hercules Tires has the value, selection, and industry-leading warranty to get you there, no matter where the road takes you. To learn more, visit HerculesTire.com. Hercules Tires, ride on our strength.
It's The Straight Line, brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Now, once again, here's Marty Hough.
Thanks for hanging on with us here on The Straight Line. And Thanks for hanging on with us. Jerry Savoie, who's right now testing in Bradenton, Florida. Jerry headed up to the Gator Nationals here tomorrow. And who better qualified to win the Gator Nationals than the guy that works with Gators every day? And that's what you do. I think this is all you, dude.
Man, I would totally agree. But I'm going to tell you, for the last 6 years, we have not done good at the Gator Nationals. But Tim really worked hard over the winter and did some things in the dyno room to try to replicate some weather conditions and whatnot. And we in Bradenton today, and it seems to be promising. And, you know, when you got a 1-2 punch between the nitrofish and the gator, it looks like we could do some damage. So I'm not a bragger. I just got a lot of faith, and you know, we'll see what God gives us and go out there and have some fun. That's the main thing.
Now, one of the big stories yet to be told in the pro bike division is that 200-mile-an-hour run. Gainesville is known as being fast, and what it looks like, at least early on with the weather conditions, is that maybe that Q2 could be cool enough to maybe be able to do something like that. Do you still need the tailwind to be able to do this, or are they making enough power to where you may be able to do it if it's still?
Nah, I still think you need a little tailwind. I mean, you don't need a lot, but you need at least 5 knots to help you out. I don't know what the other guys did over the winter and how much power they're making, but for us, it's gonna take a very perfect run in very perfect conditions. And God, would I love to be the first one. You know, I came out late in life at 52 years old. Now I'm 57, and to like you heard in my speech, to dream of only winning one race and to win the championship and be the first to go 200. I don't think I need to be out here anymore. I think I just make the year and retire and support my son. And I got plans for my son, and maybe not on a bike, but maybe we'll see him in a car in the future.
Now, the Harleys have really kind of owned Gainesville over the last couple of years. So are those the guys that you're kind of looking at on their times and what they're doing on their time sheets to kind of be the barometer of what's good at Gainesville?
Well, for our team and our family, racing family, we're not really concerned what other people are doing. We go out there and race ourselves, and we know what we should be doing. Tim's got a great handle on fuel injection and conditions, and he tells us pretty much what we think we should run. And if we're off a little bit, we pick and choose little increments throughout the run. So, you know, if you get to worrying about what everybody else is doing, you lose focus. So we're more worried about our program and what we do.
Jerry, how has your life, or has it changed after winning the championship?
It hasn't changed as far as the way I feel. Most people say, you know, how does it feel to be the champion? I tell them about calling the champ. They say, well, until you're not the champ anymore, you're called champ.
Yeah.
But for me, thank God, man, that I can do this, and it gives people hope that in one individual, you don't need big sponsorship. You don't need a lot of help from outsiders to come in. You put the right team together, and it gives you some insight of what you really can do as a person. And if you look at the class of Suzuki this year, a lot of new riders. And I think it sparked a lot of interest, and it gave these people, ladies and gentlemen, the will and the power to say, hey, man, if this guy could come from Louisiana and do what he did, maybe we can do the same. So I'm glad that it happened the way it did. But as far as me, this is when it's going to hit me. When I retire, I'm going to lay it on my sofa, and I'm going to look at that trophy on top of this showcase, and I'm going to say, you know, I was a bad son of a gun at one time. So I don't feel like that now, but I know when I retire, I will say, you know, I was better than I really thought I was, because I don't give myself enough credit.
And real quick, speaking of Louisiana and new faces and new places, your girl Angèle has got a new team. Have you heard from her any? Is she busting your chops on any this preseason stuff?
I talked to her 2 days ago and gave her a little pep talk, and I'm the last person to give anybody a pep talk, but she's put it kind of down and talking about we're not ready, we need another month or two, and yada, yada, yada. And I said, listen, she was more worried about what other people think. I said, stop worrying about what people say and stop worrying about what people think. Hold your head up, be proud, go out there and do what you do, and hopefully it'll all come together. You can't change nothing. You hire people to change it for you and make you better. Stop worrying about what people think. So she's optimistic, and it's going to take some time. They're going to struggle. You know, 2 brand new bikes, brand new engine program, brand new everything. But they'll do good, and glad to see them out here, and wish them all luck.
Jerry, thanks so much for your time and taking a little break from your testing before you head on over to Gainesville. We really appreciate it, and good luck with the Gator Nationals. Hopefully, you can come away with a win and be the top Gator this year.
Yeah, I hope so. It'll be nice for Alligator to win the National. I want to thank you guys for having me, and thanks to all the fans, because without your support, we wouldn't have a drag racing association. So. Keep on supporting and come here and come enjoy yourself.
Driver of the White Eagle, the White Alligator Racing Suzuki, Jerry Savoie, joining us on the Straight Line. And when we return, we'll wrap up another great edition of the show.
O'Reilly. If you do-it-yourselfers are looking for the right tool for the job, stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts Power Torque Tools DIY Day Sale. You'll find a wide selection of Power Torque tools on sale now and guaranteed for life. Power Torque Tools DIY Day Sale going on now at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. Limit supply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Race fans, you know there's nothing like the power, excitement, and sounds of NASCAR. Ever wonder what it would be like to strap yourself in the seat of an authentic NASCAR race car? You can do it at the Richard Petty Driving Experience. Ride along or drive yourself at one of 15 tracks nationwide. Call 1-800-237-3889 or visit online at drivepetty.com. Richard Petty Driving Experience. It's authentic NASCAR entertainment. Call 1-800-237-3889 or visit drivepetty.com to reserve your experience.
Motor Racing Network has always been your source for motorsports coverage when you couldn't be at the track. Now, never miss another minute of our breathtaking coverage with the MRN app, available on your iPhone or Android device. This free app delivers all the latest news, locates nearby MRN stations, streams your favorite programs, and is your home for live Sprint Cup practice and qualifying action. Search MRN in the App Store or on Google Play. It's the Motor Racing Network at your fingertips, and it's available for free right now.
You're listening to The Straight Line, brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Now, back to Marty Hough.
Big thanks to Jerry Savoie for joining us on today's Straight Line show, and a guy that we can always depend on for great honesty, candor, a guy that is never going to not shoot you straight, and Jerry Savoie in that interview, obviously, and telling it like it is from the Suzuki brand to giving Angel a pep talk. That's a really interesting way of going about it. So big thanks to Jerry Savoie. Your defending winners from the Gator Nationals last year. Now, we talked about John Force kind of struggling out of the gate, John Force Racing struggling out of the gate. They would like to do what they did last year and sweep the Gator Nationals. Brittany Force, in her very first win as a top fuel driver, came last year, and that was followed up by Robert Height. And as he said in the opening of the show, as he mentioned to Woody Kane, that was his last win. It's been a year since Robert Height has won a race. So it'll be interesting to see what John Force Racing has with new crews. Eddie Krawick is your defending Pro Stock motorcycle, and Greg Anderson is your Pro Stock defending winner. I'd like to thank everybody involved into the show with Doug Herbert and Daryl Smith, also Robbie Mays for helping us out on the Straight Line. We'll talk to you next week right here on MRN.com and the Straight Line.
You've been listening to The Straight Line, presented by O'Reilly Auto Parts. The Straight Line is the show for drag racing fans and was brought to you by Hercules Tires. Tune in again next Thursday on MRN.com and the MRN app. The Straight Line is also available on demand in MRN.com's Media Center, on our Facebook page, on YouTube, and in iTunes or the Google Play Store. The Straight Line is a production of the Motor Racing Network.